I thought I had it all figured out. 67 years old, pension secure, system mastered. I'd never been the guy who fell for sweet words or desperate eyes. But intelligence doesn't protect you from loneliness. And loneliness makes you stupid in ways you never see coming. Her name was Estrella, and she didn't just take my money. She took the man I thought I was. I spent 42 years reading contracts, policy analyst for the Canadian government in Ottawa. Every comma mattered. Every clause had weight. My colleagues used to joke that I could spot a loophole from across the room. They weren't wrong. I built my career on being careful, on thinking 3 steps ahead. When my marriage ended after 26 years, I handled it the same way I handled everything else, methodically. My ex-wife wanted the house, fine. I calculated the equity, divided the assets, signed the papers. No shouting, no drama, just math. My daughter Susan called me cold. Maybe I was, but I was also free. At 65, I retired with my pension optimized, my investments diversified, and a plan. I'd read about Cebu, low cost of living, English speaking, warm weather year-round. I wasn't running away. I was being strategic. I bought a one-way ticket and told myself I'd finally figured out how to live without complications. I rented a small apartment near IT Park. Clean, quiet, affordable. I set up a budget spreadsheet. Rent, utilities, food, entertainment. Everything accounted for. I even joined an expat Facebook group. The posts were predictable. Complaints about traffic, recommendations for restaurants, and warnings. God, the warnings. Don't trust the locals. Don't send money. Don't fall for the sob stories. I read every single one and thought, not me. I'm smarter than that. I'd spent my whole life seeing through people. I knew the angles, the manipulations, the plays. I wasn't some lonely fool who'd get taken advantage of the moment a pretty girl smiled at him. I had a system, and systems don't fail if you follow them. I met Estrella on a Tuesday morning in March. I'd been in Cebu for 3 months by then, long enough to have a routine. Coffee at a small cart near Ayala before my morning walk. The owner, an older woman, knew my order. Americano, no sugar. That Tuesday, there was a new girl behind the counter, young, maybe early 20s, long dark hair pulled back in a ponytail. She was wiping down the counter when I approached, and she looked up with this smile, not flirtatious, not practiced, just warm. "Good morning, sir," she said in careful English. "What can I get for you?" I ordered my usual. She made it slowly, concentrating hard on the espresso machine. When she handed me the cup, our fingers touched briefly. "Thank you," I said. She nodded, then hesitated. "You are American?" "Canadian," I corrected. "Ah, sorry, sir. Canadian." "You are tourist?" "Retired. I live here now." Her eyes widened slightly. "Oh, that is nice. You like Cebu?" "I do. It's peaceful." She smiled again. "Yes, it is peaceful. I hope you enjoy your day, sir." That was it. I walked away thinking nothing of it. But the next day, she was there again. And the day after that, by the end of the week, we were talking. Small conversations. She asked about Canada. I asked about her family. She told me her name was Estrella. She was from a small barrio outside the city. She'd come to Cebu to work and study, but the pandemic had interrupted her education. Now she was working at the coffee cart to help her family. "My mother is sick," she said one morning, her voice quiet. "So I send money home. It is hard, but it is okay. Family is important." I nodded. I didn't ask questions. I didn't offer help. I just listened. And maybe that's what got me. She never asked for anything. Not once. The second week, I offered to buy her lunch. She looked surprised. "Oh, no, sir. You do not need to do that." "I know I don't need to," I said, "but I'd like to, if you're free." She hesitated, then smiled. "Okay, thank you. That is very kind. We went to a small carinderia near the mall. She ordered adobo and rice. I had the same. We sat across from each other at a plastic table, and she asked me about my life, why I'd come to the Philippines, what I did before, whether I miss Canada. I told her about my career, my divorce, my daughter. She listened without interrupting, her eyes focused on mine. When I finished, she said, "You are very smart, I think, and very brave to start new life." I laughed. "I don't know about brave, just practical." "No," she said softly. "It is brave. Many people are afraid to be alone, but you chose it." Something in her voice made my chest tighten. I hadn't felt that in years. Not fear, not attraction exactly, just connection. Like someone saw me. Not the systems, not the logic. Me. I walked her back to the coffee cart. Before she went inside, she turned to me and said, "Thank you, sir. Today was very nice." "Harlen," I said. "You can call me Harlen." She smiled. "Okay, Harlen. Thank you." Over the next month, I saw Estrella 3, sometimes 4 times a week. It became a routine within my routine. Coffee in the morning, lunch once or twice a week. Sometimes we'd walk around the park near Ayala. She told me more about her life. Her mother, Nene Rosa, had diabetes and high blood pressure. The medication was expensive. Her father had died 5 years ago. She had 2 younger brothers still in school. She was 23 but looked younger. Soft-spoken, careful with her words. She laughed easily but never loudly. And she never, ever asked me for money. I noticed things, though. Her shoes were worn down at the heels. She always ordered the cheapest item on the menu. Once, I saw her checking her phone and her face fell. When I asked what was wrong, she just shook her head. "It is nothing, just my cousin needs help with something. But it is okay. I will manage." I didn't push, but I started paying attention. She shared a single room with 2 other girls in a boarding house near Carbon Market. She walked to work every day to save on jeepney fare. She ate instant noodles more often than she ate real meals. It wasn't hard to see. She was struggling, and she was too proud to say it. So I started helping, small amounts at first. I'd leave extra money with the coffee when she wasn't looking. 100 pesos here, 200 there. Once, I gave her 500 for her birthday. "No, Harlan, this is too much," she protested. "It's not too much. It's your birthday. Use it for something you need." Tears filled her eyes. "Thank you. You are too kind to me." "I'm not being kind," I said. "I'm being fair. You work hard. You deserve it." She hugged me then, quick, brief. But I felt it in my bones. I told myself it wasn't a transaction. It was compassion. I'd spent years being practical. Maybe this was just me being human. One afternoon, Buddy, an Australian expat I'd met at a bar, saw us having lunch together. Later, he pulled me aside. "Mate, be careful." "With what?" "With her. I've seen this before. Girl, expat, money. It doesn't end well." I bristled. "It's not like that. She's not asking me for anything." "Not yet," Buddy said. "But she will. They always do." I wanted to tell him he was wrong, that Estrella was different. But I just nodded and changed the subject. That night, lying in bed, I replayed his words. Was I being naive? Was I falling into some trap I couldn't see? I thought about the warnings in the Facebook group, the stories of men who'd been scammed. But Estrella wasn't like that. She was genuine. I'd spent my whole life reading people. I would know, wouldn't I? It was a Friday night when Estrella called me, her voice breaking. "Harlan, I am so sorry to bother you." "You're not bothering me. What's wrong?" "It is my mother. She collapsed today. They took her to the hospital. But the hospital, they say we need to pay first before they will keep her. 25,000 pesos. I do not have it. I am so sorry. I do not know what to do." My heart clenched. "Which hospital?" "Vicente Soto Memorial." "But Harlan, I am not asking you for money. I I needed to talk to someone. I am so scared. I'll send it to you right now. What's your Gcash number? No, Harlen. No, I cannot take that from you. Estrella, your mother needs help. Give me your number. She hesitated, then recited it. I opened my phone and transferred 25,000 pesos. Within seconds, her phone buzzed. Harlen, I do not know what to say. You are my angel, my savior. I will pay you back. I promise. Don't worry about that. Just take care of your mother, she sobbed into the phone. Thank you. Thank you so much. I will never forget this. When I hung up, I felt good, needed, important. This was what money was for, wasn't it? To help people, to make a difference. But later that night, lying in the dark, a thought crept in. I'd never met Nene Rosa. I'd never seen a hospital bill. I'd just sent 25,000 pesos based on a phone call. I pushed the thought away. Estrella wouldn't lie. Not about something like this. 2 days later, she came to see me. Her eyes were red, but she was smiling. My mother is home now. She is okay. The doctors said she needs to rest and take her medicine, but she is okay. Because of you. I'm glad, I said. Really glad. She hugged me again, longer this time. I owe you everything, Harlen. I will never forget what you did. A week later, I casually asked, how's your mom doing? Did the hospital give you a discharge summary or anything? Her face shifted, just slightly. Why do you ask? Just curious. I want to make sure she's getting the care she needs. You do not trust me? Her voice was soft, but there was something underneath it. Hurt, accusation. No, that's not it. I want to help if there's more that needs to be done. She looked down. You think I lied to you? Estrella, no, you do. You think I am like the other girls, that I am using you. I don't think that, but I heard the hesitation in my own voice. She stood up. I should go. Thank you for the coffee. Estrella, wait. She didn't. She walked out, and I sat there feeling like the worst person alive. That night, I told myself I was being paranoid. Estrella had been nothing but kind, nothing but honest. I'd let Buddy's words get in my head. I'd let the Facebook warnings poison my thinking. The next day, I texted her an apology. She replied hours later. It is okay, Harlen. I understand. You are careful. That is smart. I am not angry. I just wish you believed me. I did believe her. I wanted to. I needed to. Estrella started coming to my apartment. It began innocently. She'd stop by after work, tired and hungry. I'd make her dinner. Nothing fancy, just rice, chicken, vegetables. We'd eat on my small balcony, looking out over the city. She'd talk about her day, the rude customers, the broken espresso machine, her dreams of finishing school someday. I'd listen, feeling something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. One evening, after dinner, she asked if she could take a shower. My boarding house has no hot water, she said, and I am so tired. Of course, I said. She disappeared into the bathroom. I heard the water running. I sat on the couch, scrolling through my phone. Then I saw it. Her phone, face up on the coffee table. A notification popped up. Carlo with a heart emoji. Baby, when are you coming home? I miss you. My stomach dropped. I stared at the screen. The message disappeared after a few seconds. I didn't pick up her phone. I didn't want to, but I couldn't unsee it. When Estrella came out, her hair wet, wearing one of my old t-shirts, I forced a smile. Feel better? Yes, thank you, Harlen. You are always so good to me. I wanted to ask, I needed to ask, but I didn't. Instead, I said, who's Carlo? She didn't flinch. My cousin. Why? Just saw a message come through on your phone. Wanted to make sure everything was okay. Oh yes, he is always dramatic. He wants me to visit home more, but I am too busy with work. She smiled. Her voice didn't waver. Her eyes didn't shift. She was either telling the truth or she was very good at lying. I wanted to believe her. That night after she left, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying the message. Baby, when are you coming home? I miss you. Cousins don't talk like that, do they? The next morning, I ran into Lita, my landlady, in the hallway. She was sweeping the floor outside my door. Good morning, Sir Harlen, she said. Morning, Lita. Can I ask you something? Of course. You know Estrella, right? The girl who's been visiting me? Lita paused, her broom mid-sweep. Yes, I know her. She mentioned someone named Carlo. Said he's her cousin. Do you know him? Lita looked at me for a long moment. Then she said quietly, Carlo is not her cousin, sir. My chest tightened. What do you mean? He is her boyfriend. Or he was. I am not sure now. But they were together for a long time. Everyone in the boarding house knows. The floor tilted under my feet. Are you sure? Yes, sir. I am sorry. I nodded, numb. Thank you, Lita. I went back inside my apartment and sat on the couch, stared at the wall. My mind raced through every conversation, every smile, every tear. Had it all been a lie? Or was Lita wrong? Maybe Carlo was an ex-boyfriend. Maybe Estrella had moved on. Maybe I was overthinking this. I didn't confront her. Not yet. I told myself I needed more information. More proof. But really, I was just afraid. Afraid of what I'd already started to believe. 3 days passed. Estrella acted normal, sweet, grateful. She texted me good morning every day. She sent me pictures of the sunset from her window. She told me she missed me when we went a day without seeing each other. And I played along, because I didn't know what else to do. On the 4th day, I couldn't take it anymore. She was sitting on my couch, scrolling through her phone, when I finally said it. Estrella, I need to ask you something. She looked up. What is it? Is Carlo your boyfriend? The air between us went cold. She didn't cry. She didn't panic. She just looked at me, her face perfectly still. Why do you ask? Because someone told me he is. And I need to know the truth. She set her phone down slowly. Who told you? Does it matter? Yes, because people here talk too much. They do not know anything. So it's not true? She sighed, a long, tired sigh. You knew what this was, Harlen. My heart stopped. What? You knew, she repeated. From the beginning. You are not stupid. I don't understand. You are lonely. I am poor. You helped me. I spent time with you. We both got what we needed. I felt like I was falling. So you were using me? Using? She shook her head. I like you, Harlen. I do. You are kind. You are good to me. But Carlo, he is complicated. We have history. I cannot just forget him. So you were with both of us? At the same time? I never lied to you. You never asked. You told me he was your cousin, because you would not understand, and I did not want to hurt you. I stood up. My hands were shaking. Did you even need the money for your mother? Or was that a lie too? Her face hardened. My mother is sick. That part is true. I used your money to help her, but also to help Carlo. He needed it too. For what? It does not matter. It matters to me. I gave you 25,000 pesos, and I am grateful. But you gave it because you wanted to. I did not force you. I stared at her. This girl I thought I knew. This girl I thought cared about me. Why did you do this? She stood up, grabbing her bag. Because I am trying to survive. You have your pension, your safe life. I have nothing. I do what I need to do. And you wanted to feel like a hero. So I let you. I thought you cared about me. I do care about you. But I need Carlo more. He understands me. He is my age. He is from my world. She moved toward the door. Then she stopped and turned back. Will you stop helping my family? That's when it hit me. She didn't care about losing me. She cared about losing my money. I wasn't her partner. I wasn't even her friend. I was her pension, and I'd built the whole thing myself. Get out, I said quietly. She left without another word. I sat alone in my apartment for hours. The silence was crushing. I kept replaying everything. Every conversation, every smile, every tear. How much of it had been real? How much had I invented because I needed it to be real? Finally, I opened my laptop and went through my bank statements. I added it up. 63,000 pesos, nearly 1,500 Canadian dollars. Money I'd sent for hospital bills I never verified, for birthday gifts for a mother I'd never met, for groceries, rent, phone credits. Little amounts that added up to a devastating total. I'd been so careful my whole life, every decision calculated, every risk assessed, and in 4 months, I'd become exactly the man I swore I'd never be. My phone rang. Buddy. Mate, you okay? Haven't heard from you in a while. I told him everything. The hospital, Carlo, the final conversation. He listened without interrupting. When I finished, he said, I'm sorry, Harlen. I really am. You warned me. Doesn't mean I wanted to be right. I'm an idiot. No, you're human, and you were lonely. That's not a crime. I spent 42 years analyzing data. I could spot a scam in seconds. But I couldn't see this because you didn't want to. You wanted to believe someone cared. We all do. That's not stupidity, mate. That's just being human. It feels like stupidity. It happens to the smart ones, too. Maybe more. Because you think your intelligence will protect you. But loneliness doesn't care how smart you are. I closed my eyes. I really thought she liked me. Maybe she did. In her own way. But she needed you more than she liked you. And need always wins. He paused. You want to grab a beer? Not tonight. But thanks. Anytime, mate. Seriously. Anytime. After we hung up, I sat in the dark for a long time. But he was right. I'd wanted to feel needed. Useful. Important. And Estrella had given me that. Even if it was a lie. Even if it cost me everything. A week passed. I didn't hear from Estrella. Part of me expected her to text, to apologize, to try to explain, but she didn't. Then, on a Sunday afternoon, my phone buzzed. A message from her. Can we talk? I want to see you. I stared at the screen for 10 minutes. I could ignore it, block her, move on, but I needed closure. I needed to look her in the eye one more time. I texted back. Okay, coffee cart tomorrow, 10 a.m. She replied immediately. Thank you, Harlen. See you tomorrow. That night, I barely slept. I kept rehearsing what I'd say, how I'd confront her. But when I saw her the next morning, standing by the coffee cart in a faded yellow dress, she looked smaller somehow, younger, tired. I walked up slowly. Hi, she said. Hi. We ordered coffee and sat at a plastic table on the curb. For a while, neither of us spoke. Then she said, I am sorry. For what, exactly? For hurting you. I did not mean to. You just meant to use me. She flinched. That is not fair. Isn't it? You lied about Carlo. You took my money. You made me believe you cared. I did care. I do care. Just not the way you wanted me to. I looked at her. Why did you ask to meet? Because I do not want you to hate me. You are a good man, Harlen. I do not want you to think I am evil. I don't think you're evil. I think you're desperate. And I think I was convenient. She looked down. It is hard here. You do not understand. Every day is a fight. For food. For rent. For medicine. I have to think about my family. About surviving. Carlo and I, we are the same. We understand each other. But he cannot help me the way you can. So I made choices. You made choices, I repeated. And I was just a choice. You were more than that. You were kind. You listened to me. You made me feel safe. That was real. But not real enough. She met my eyes. No, not real enough. I took a sip of my coffee. It was bitter, cold. Can I ask you one thing? Yes. Was any of it real? Any of the feelings? The smiles? The conversations? She looked at me for a long time. Her eyes were sad, honest. I liked you, Harlen. I really did. But I needed you more than I liked you. And in my life, need always comes first. I nodded. It was the most honest thing she'd ever said to me. I stood up. Goodbye, Estrella. Wait. Will you still help my mother? She really is sick. I was not lying about that. I almost laughed. Almost. No, I won't. Her face fell. Please, Harlen. She needs medicine. I will pay you back. I promise. You won't. And that's okay. I gave you the money because I wanted to believe. But I don't anymore. Take care of yourself, Estrella. I pulled out my wallet and left 200 pesos on the table, enough for her coffee and bus fare home. Then I walked away. I didn't look back. I didn't leave Cebu. I thought about it. Booked a flight to Manila, then canceled it. Running wouldn't change what happened. It wouldn't make me less stupid, less lonely, less human. So I stayed. But I changed. I stopped going to the coffee cart. I stopped looking for connection in the wrong places. I started going to the gym, joined a book club at the expat community center, made actual friends, real ones. Buddy checked on me every few days. We'd meet for lunch, talk about nothing important. June, my regular motorcycle taxi driver, became someone I could talk to. He knew what had happened. Half the city probably did, but he never judged. One afternoon, after a ride, he said, Sir Harlen, you are a good man. Do not let one girl make you forget that. I don't feel like a good man. Why? Because you tried to help someone and they used you? That does not make you bad. It makes you kind. Kindness is not weakness. Feels like it. He smiled, only to people who have never tried being kind. Lita, my landlady, started inviting me to her family dinners. At first, I said no, but she was persistent. You need to eat with people, sir, not alone all the time. So I went. Her kids were loud and chaotic and wonderful. They asked me about Canada, about snow, about my life. They made me laugh, and slowly I started feeling like myself again. Not the same self, but a version that was maybe a little wiser, a little softer, a little more honest. One night, I called Susan, my daughter. We hadn't spoken in months. Dad? She sounded surprised. Hi, sweetheart. Is everything okay? Yeah. I wanted to talk to you. About what? I hesitated. Then I said, I've been lonely, and I did something stupid, and I just wanted you to know. She was quiet for a moment. What happened? I told her everything. Estrella, the money, the lies, the heartbreak. When I finished, I expected judgment, disappointment. Instead, she said, Dad, you're human. I feel like an idiot. You're not. You're someone who wanted to be needed. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm actually glad you called. I've been worried about you. You have? Of course. You're my dad. I love you, even when you're being emotionally unavailable and overthinking everything. I laughed, really laughed. I miss you, Susan. I miss you too. Maybe I'll come visit. See this Cebu you've been hiding in. I'd like that. Good. And Dad? Yeah. Stop beating yourself up. You tried to help someone. It didn't work out. That doesn't make you a fool. It makes you someone who still believes in people. The world needs more of that. After we hung up, I sat on my balcony and watched the city lights flicker on. I thought about Estrella, about Carlo, about the money I'd never get back. And I realized something. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't heartbroken. I was just awake. Intelligence doesn't protect you from loneliness, and loneliness makes you believe things you'd never accept in daylight. Estrella taught me that, not because she was evil, but because I needed someone to matter to, And I let that need erase everything I knew. I wasn't the first man to fall for a story. I wouldn't be the last. But I survived. And maybe that's enough. I learned that systems fail when you're desperate for connection. That being smart doesn't mean you can't be hurt. That kindness isn't weakness, even when it's exploited. I learned that I'm human, flawed, lonely, capable of being fooled, and somehow that made me feel more alive than any system ever did. I still live in Cebu. I still drink my coffee in the morning. I still take motorcycle rides with June. I still eat dinner with Lita's family. And I still think about Estrella sometimes. Not with anger, not with regret, just with understanding. She was trying to survive, and I was trying to matter. We both got what we needed, even if it wasn't what we wanted. And now, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with being the man who made a mistake, the man who believed when he shouldn't have, the man who survived, because in the end, that's all any of us are trying to do. Survive, connect, matter, even when it costs us everything.